Good morning, degenerates, and welcome to another episode of Boring Crypto IO, a place where I read you the boring crypto news every morning, Monday through Friday, just so you don't have to. My name is Not Important, and I'm your host, LFG. Zimbabwe sets price to sell gold-backed digital tokens. Coinbase remains 100% committed to the U.S. market. And last but not least, Carolina House passes bill banning Cbdc payments to the state. To the market sitting at 1.195. Bitcoin dominance 47.2, ETH dominance 19.2. Oh my God, Gwei up 91. What's going on? I need to figure out what's going on with ETH. The Gwei, the gas fees are literally shooting through the roof. Like as if we're back in a full-blown NFT bull market again. Across the board, we are still kind of sideways. Bitcoin's pumped a little bit. We're going to talk about that. I feel like I say that every day. It's pumped a little bit. We're going to talk about that. Not too much going on. Looks like a mini red right now. Tron? Or Toncoin. Toncoin? What is Ton? Yeah, Phantom down 4.2%, 4.26%. Can't talk today, guys, per usual. I apologize. Stacks down 6.86. All right, Bitcoin. Continuing to move uppish and slightly sideways. I mean, mini flag here. Retrace. Pull down and then pull back. All these like mini upside down Bart Simpson patterns. That's kind of what we're looking at. These could also be inverse head and shoulders, which continue to move to the upside. Inverse head and shoulders. Again, literally nothing's changed. We do have a upward trend line forming. If I could get this thing to work. I apologize, y'all. Maybe if I select the right line maker. Kind of got something like this going on, depending on what time frame you're looking at. But this is our direction we're going. Up and to the right, not bad. Trying to figure out what this wants to do. This is very, very rough. I'm just kind of looking at what I'm seeing, and trying to make some sense out of it. Outside of this potential upwards channel, potential ascending wedge, whatever you might want to call this, everything's the same, guys. We're still looking at that 29.3 as resistance to breakthrough, hoping that our 28.9 continues to hold as potential support. We kind of got it down here. Around the 28.781 level. But going into the weekend, things could get volatile. We could go up, we could go down. Who knows? I don't. Yeah, I know I'm not really saying a lot, but not a lot has changed over the last week, guys. This purple area is still our biggest level that we need to break through and continue to, or change into support to continue going on forward. And house cleaning per usual, guys. This isn't a trading channel. I'm a terrible trader. Don't pay attention to me. I'm just a random dude in a room making YouTube videos, as well as I'm not a financial advisor and this isn't financial advice. Please know that crypto is heavily volatile. It is risky. You could lose everything. But yeah, y'all, I'm not making any moves. I'm not getting excited about anything until we either flip this area into resistance and continue down, or vice versa, flip this purple area into support and continue up. I'm not swing trading, which I've been saying for quite some time. I'm not day trading. I'm just consolidating pretty much on all of my positions right now. So these little moves like this aren't really doing anything for me. I'm just trying to figure out what Bitcoin wants to do. and setting buy orders based on that information. Outside of that, guys, let's go ahead and move on to the news. Zimbabwe sets price to sell gold-backed digital tokens. Zimbabwe Central Bank plans to sell gold-backed digital tokens at $10 for individuals and $5,000 for corporates. Expensive if you're a corporate. Zimbabwe Central Bank has set a price for its gold-backed digital tokens. The country is planning to sell its gold-backed digital currency to investors starting May 8th, which is in 3 days. The tokens will be sold at a minimum price of $10 for individuals and $5,000 for corporates and other entities, according to a statement released by Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. The gold-backed digital currency tokens will be sold in both U.S. dollars and local currency. However, the local currency price will have a 20% margin above the willing buyer, willing seller interbank mid-rate. Interested investors can participate in the offer from May 8th, and it will close 2 days later. The willing buyer, willing seller interbank mid-rate, God, that's a mouthful, is the exchange rate at which banks are willing to buy and sell currencies to each other. It is considered the midpoint between the buying and selling rates and is determined based on prevailing market conditions such as supply and demand. This rate is used as a benchmark for many financial transactions and is often used as a reference rate for exchange rate quoted by banks and financial institutions. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe announced its plans to introduce a gold-backed digital currency to serve as legal tender in the country on April 28th. The introduction of digital tokens in the last move by Southern African nations to support its own local currency, which according to Bloomberg has weakened 37% against the USD on the official market this year. The plan was approved by the Monetary Policy Committee in March, 8 months after Zimbabwe introduced gold coins as a store of value to try to help support the local unit. According to a Bloomberg report, Zimbabwe's currency, the ZWL, is quoted at 1,001 against the USD, but is commonly exchanged at 1,750 on the streets of Harare, the capital city of the country. Zimbabwe has been battling currency instability and high inflation rates for more than 10 years. After a period of hyperinflation, the country adopted the USD in 2009. In an attempt to revive the struggling economy, the Zimbabwean dollar was reintroduced in 2019. However, last year, the government reverted back to using the USD to control rising prices. It is worth noting that Nigeria introduced its own digital currency in 2021, becoming the first African nation to do so. Interesting. Moving on. Coinbase remains 100% committed to the U.S. markets. I guess this is referring to the rumors that Coinbase might leave the U.S. Coinbase CEO has a lot of faith that Congress will make a clear, quote-unquote, rulebook for crypto firms to follow, but the Securities and Exchange Commission, not so much. United States-founded cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase has no plans to move its operation out of the U.S., CEO Brian Armstrong told investors in a Q1 earnings call. On May 5th, Armstrong assured shareholders that the firm is 100% committed to the U.S. market over the long term, despite regulatory uncertainty in the U.S. So let me be clear, we're 100% committed to the U.S. I founded this company in the United States because I saw that rule of law prevails here. That's really important, and I'm actually really optimistic on the U.S. getting this right. The optimism alluded to by Armstrong comes from his confidence in Congress soon passing a clear and set rules for crypto firms to follow. When I go to visit DC, there's a strong bipartisan support for Congress to come in and create new legislation that would create a clear rulebook in the US, and I think it's really important for America to get this right. However, Armstrong's comments weren't entirely optimistic. The CEO is concerned about the unpredictable enforcement action of the SEC, which comes in light of the firm being served with a Wells notice by the securities regulator in late March. Quote unquote, despite our ongoing engagement with the commission, they have not been as clear about what their specific concerns are with Coinbase as we might like, and so I have to refrain from speculating too much. It is especially difficult to predict the timeline of any potential SEC litigation that we might face, Armstrong added. The troubles led Coinbase to file an action in a U.S. federal court seeking to compel the SEC to answer a petition that has been pending since July. I think we read that yesterday. Yeah. The back and forth comes as Coinbase launched Coinbase's international exchange CIE on May 2nd, which prompted many pundits to believe that Coinbase was looking for an escape route from the US. The exchange is open to customers in 30 countries worldwide, including Singapore, Hong Kong, El Salvador, Philippines, Thailand, and Bermuda, where the CIE is now licensed from. Armstrong said the European Union is in front in terms of regulatory progress with its markets in crypto assets. MiCA legislation set to enter into effect in mid-2024 or early 2025. They've adopted comprehensive crypto legislation called MiCA, creates a single clear rulebook for the entire region. It's pretty powerful. I just got back from a trip to from the UK and DC. Both of those have draft bills in the works that are working on things like around stable coins and market structure. Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, Brazil, all are essentially following in this direction, Armstrong added. The CEO's remarks come as Coinbase managed to increase its first quarter revenue by 22%, while slashing its net income loss by over $475 million to $79 million. Well, supposedly Coinbase is going to stay here in the US. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you think. Comments down below. And last but not least, and we'll get you guys out of here. Friday, Cinco de Mayo, your weekend, etc., etc. North Carolina House passes bill banning CBDC payments to the state. The latest version of the legislation included limiting the Federal Reserve from using the U.S. state as a potential testing ground for its own CBDC pilot. The House of Representatives from North Carolina has unanimously passed legislation aimed at prohibiting payments to the U.S. state using a central bank digital currency or a CBDC. In a May 3rd vote, 118 members of the state's legislative body agreed to pass House Bill 690, with only 2 representatives absent and none voting against the bill. The latest version of this legislation aims to prohibit individuals from using CBDCs for any payments to the state, as well as bar the Federal Reserve from using North Carolina as a potential testing ground for its own CBDC pilot. North Carolina lawmakers introduced the bill to the House in April, where it stayed in committee before readings and a full vote. The legislation proposed amending statutes to require no state agency nor general court of justice accept payments using CBDCs or participate in Fed testing of a digital dollar. The legislative push against CBDCs seems to be becoming more politically relevant ahead of the 2024 elections in the United States. In March, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, expected by many to throw his hat into the ring for the U.S. presidential race, called for a CBDC ban in the country, claiming the technology was all about surveilling Americans and controlling behavior of Americans. I agree. At the federal level, Representatives Tom Emmer and Senator Ted Cruz have both introduced separate bills aimed at restricting the Fed's authority over CBDCs or proposing an outright ban. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., another U.S. presidential hopeful, has claimed that CBDCs could grease the slippery slope to financial slavery and political tyranny. The North Carolina bill will move to the Senate, where it must pass before being signed into law or vetoed by Governor Roy Cooper. The Board of Commissioners for North Carolina's Buncombe County also approved a 1-year moratorium on crypto mining on May 2nd. Yep. Ben Armstrong, Bitboy Crypto, has been speaking about this heavily, that and it shouldn't come down to this, but it seems it's going to come down to just like everything, they're going to make this a political choice. That supposedly the left is anti-crypto, supposedly the right is pro-crypto, and he's been saying that he is going to be a one-issue voter. And it's looking that way. It's looking that the right is going to be for no CBDCs, pro-crypto, etc., etc. And the left is going to be going the opposite direction, which is unfortunate. I'm not surprised. We'll see how it goes. Outside of that, let's look at Bitcoin one last time before I send you guys on your way to go enjoy your weekend. Nothing has changed. These are all like mini potential flags, though, and which is What's been interesting about these flags, just before we get out of here. So this one broke out, broke up. This one, it's not really a flag. It's kind of a flag. It broke down. This one is a flaggish, but it kind of broke down. If we look at it like this. The point of me bringing this up, what I've been noticing about these Bitcoin flags is they'll form, they'll break down into like a bull trap and then take off again. Kind of like this, broke down, took off. If you say this is a big flag, depending on what time frame you're looking at, let's say this is a flagpole. Kind of somewhere in here. Again, this is just rough stuff, and I'm just playing with ideas. So let's say that was your flag, right? Depending on what time frame. Let's go to the 4 hour and see what that looks like. They're all kind of doing this like break down, bear trap, and then go up. And I've been noticing this pattern quite frequently with Bitcoin over the last few months, which is interesting. I'm kind of curious to why we keep having these traps like this. Anyway, just food for thought. Outside of that, guys, let's get you out of here. Go enjoy your weekend. Trade conservatively. Tight stop losses, etc., etc. You know the drill. The Jill. You know I can't talk, and I'm an idiot. Guys, outside of that, per usual, if you enjoy the content I provide here on BoringCrypto.io, please by all means subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for notifications so you know when I do post a video. Watch, like, and share all of these videos on all of your social platforms, and I'll see you bright and early Monday morning. I'm out of here.